your sister friend, and you know I love helping women align with their life purpose using the power of ancient wisdom and the goddess centered lifestyle. Just wanted to log on really quickly. Oh my gosh, my battery is low. I wanted to just log on really quickly and share a recent astrological event that has happened for me. In astrology, we have the moon that's in our natal chart. And a lot of us use a lot of astrology to understand ourselves and our lives using that particular moon. And we also have what is called a progressed chart. So the universe, took a snapshot of what was happening in the sky the moment you were born, where you were born at that time, and that becomes your natal chart. That is the most important chart of all charts, because it has what is called the natal promise. It's what we're here to do. But if you think about it, it's like a clock that keeps turning. So that clock, that astrological wheel kept turning. And it's a part of having what is called an evolutionary process. Okay. Peace. How are you, Minister Ocean Kimmy? Good to see you. But it's like a clock that just keeps turning. And so that moon that was in that's in your natal chart, it started to move. It started to move bit by bit, and it even changes sign, and that is called the progressed moon. So we have what is called the progress chart. In astrology, there's different charts that we use to help. The natal chart helps us the most with understanding why you're here, perhaps what is your what are your life lessons, what does your family look like, what do you look like, what do you desire in your relationships. But when we want to do predictions, we do use that natal chart, but there's other charts that we use. And one of those charts is called the progressed chart. And the way I describe it to people who don't know a lot about astrology is it's the evolutionary chart. So that progressed moon, you have one, I have one, everybody gets a progressed moon. That progressed moon changes every about 2.5 years. And so essentially what I find, and the other one I think is really important is the progressed sun, but that takes a while. The progressed sun it moves a lot slower than that progressed moon. But what I love about the progressed moon is it's like you never get stuck and stagnant. You get an opportunity to put on the clothing of some other sign, especially one that you don't know much about, right? But when you have that progressed moon going on, a lot of times it's going to signify a change. When I do readings for people, say for instance, I remember one client, she was looking at getting a new job. And she was kind of like, I don't know. Because you know how it is when we're going for stuff we really want. It's like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to get it. I'm not certain, especially if it's something like we really want it, but it's kind of new and kind of different. And I said, you know what? I really do think you're going to get this job. Because when I looked at her progressed moon, it was about to leave one sign and go into another sign. And sure enough, she did get the job. And even recently, I saw that same progressed moon, or that progressed moon that I witnessed go into one sign, just recently moved into another sign, and she just started a new job. But there was other indications that I could look at, not just the moon, because a lot of times a progressed moon might indicate you're gonna move, which that hasn't happened for me yet. I've watched several progressed moons, and I haven't moved not one time. So I remember when I first started catching on to these progressed moons, the first one that I experienced where I was like, I'm really different. I can see how I am different because my progressed moon is in Aquarius, which I do not have any Aquarius in my chart. And so I was like, okay, first of all, I am a Pisces and I'm a Scorpio. I have a lot of emotion. I feel everything. Oh my gosh, I consider myself a sensitive sort. As soon as that moon moved into Aquarius, I was like, this is lit. This is what Aquarius feels like. It was like, I feel nothing. There are no emotions. But I was still pretty new at astrology at that time. So what I noted was how I feel, because we know the moon is about feelings. So then the next progressed moon I went through in a conscious manner was the moon in Pisces. And I am telling you, as a Pisces, I was like, this is too much water. I had so much emotion. I was like, wow, to be a Pisces moon, this is a lot of emotion right here. Um, but I also had a lot of other things going on in Pisces, like Neptune was transiting some of my planets. So it was like water overload. I couldn't wait for that moon to end because I was just like, I'm this is too much emotion for me. Just wow. But what I will say about the oh, shoots. But what I will say about the moon in Pisces is that I was extremely intuitive, like deeply intuitive, deeply. So then the moon moved into Aries. Now, this is when I witnessed this is when I really knew, and I gotta go get my I gotta plug my phone in. This is when I knew that I I know I'm watching the day because I was so ready for that Pisces moon. I'm putting my phone in here. I was so ready for that Pisces moon to end that I was counting down the minutes. I was at a training, and I knew it's time. And the thing about when that progressed moon is moving from one sign to the other, it like when it's on that 29th degree, it's like so much emotion because that moon is getting that energy to switch over. And so that's something I've been feeling. So that's something that will happen when you know your progressed moon is moving from one sign to the next. You get crabby. I've watched this. It doesn't matter what sign, you know, what the element of the sign is that it's leaving from going into, doesn't matter. It will make you feel crabby, right? So I was extremely crabby at this training. Just, oh my gosh. I just was like, just so, ooh, crabby. That's it. And it was like the moment the moon moved over, because I knew the moment was supposed to happen. I was hanging on by a thread. I felt myself change. I was like, okay, first of all, I felt more calm and settled. But then I began to realize, oh, Aries, this is a little different from Pisces. Aries is a vibe, especially for me. Now, I'm going to say this is the progressed moon I have lived the most consciously out. Progressed moon in Aries or evolutionary. My moon evolved to Aries. Not the first time I've had a progressed moon in Aries, because you got to remember the progressed moon is changing every 2.5 years, but this is the first time I was like, okay, let me see what I can do with this progressed moon in Aries. And this is the moon that I've gotten my confidence with. Um, this is the moon that where I have not stood up for myself well. This is the moon where I was like, I even sometimes would have thoughts of like, oh, I'm scared, what are they gonna do or whatever. And when the moon moved into Aries, all of a sudden I would feel this energy take over me, and I would say, I wish they would. Bring it. I double dog dare 'em. They better not. And like the inside of me was like, oh, I just said that and I meant it. I'm like, oh. It's like, oh, okay. Y'all can mess with me if you want to, but I'm going all the F in, baby. And for somebody like me, that's a really big deal. That is a really big deal because, typically I'm like, I don't want no heat. But with this moon in Aries, I was like, man, to be in Aries, it's like literally I get a bird's eye view into the world of the signs that I don't know about much with this progressed moon. So I really love the moon in Aries. This has been a time of me being in new beginnings. I mean, think about that. Progressed moon in Aries. 2.5 years ago, easily we could say I became an empty nester. I never even thought about it until now, but I became an empty nester, and it's just been like a whole new world, and adventure. And Aries is also a sign that has to do with entrepreneurs. I've made more progress as an entrepreneur since being a progressed Aries moon. But the primary emotion that I had with this one is I'm just so angry. It used to take me aback initially because That is not an emotion that when I get emotional, that's not the go-to emotion. But it was just like every time I would get emotional, it could be something that literally is, it's like really upsetting me. My Pisces energy, typically in the past, would just be like, oh my gosh, I'm just so sad. Or, it's just like, just so many tears coming down my face. I could barely cry. I've barely been able to cry since I had this Aries moon. And it's just, I'm pissed. That's all. Well, I don't have it now. I'm out of it. I just got to the other side. I'm at the progressed Taurus moon now. Okay. So progressed Taurus moon. Okay. So what I will say is I did feel that irritation this last, it takes the progressed moon moves 1 degree per month. So it moved, for the last month, I have just felt deeply, deeply irritated. I feel so short. It's like I have to do a lot to control just immediately going into being short. But I find it doesn't matter. Once that progressive moon gets on the 29th degree, it doesn't really matter, the sign or anything. So then, this morning the moon moved over into Taurus. This is significant. This is significant for me because my natal moon is Taurus. So I'm about to have a progressed natal lunar return. Progressed lunar return. So that's exciting. So yeah, we're gonna see what it's like. I think for me, I'll feel this will feel at home. I already feel better this morning. I'm like, wow, it's like, woo, woo, okay, I've landed. I'm here. But for me, the moon is exalted in Taurus, and so the moon works very well. So I think that this will be a time where emotionally I feel well. I think emotionally I'll feel normal. And another thing about Taurus moons is it's the moon in Earth, because Taurus is an Earth sign. So this is a very grounded moon. And so emotionally, I will default to being grounded. So the way I like to use the progressed moon, number one, I like looking at that progressed moon because as soon as it switches to a new sign, there's something new happening. I see it happen all the time. There's some ladies who I have in my coaching program, and I've had them long term. And every time I see that progressed moon move into a new sign, something new has kicked off in their life. It's just like a fresh new lease on life. So that's one of the things I love about keeping up with the progressed moon. The other thing is, what house is the progressed moon going into? So once I look at where that progressed moon is, it's like, oh, wow, okay, I know what I need to be focusing on. See, I love looking at astrology in terms of like having layers. And so the progressed moon gives another layer of what you're going to be focused on. So, this particular progressed moon is in my 6th house. So y'all already know, everyone who watches me regularly, I'm going to be talking about health. I'm going to be working on my health. But I feel like I'm getting a fresh new start. We recently had that Scorpio, not Scorpio, the Aries new moon eclipse. And that was, I was like, all of a sudden, I was like, I finally feel like I am definitely gonna knock this health, thing out the park. It's done. It's a done deal. And I've noticed I just have more motivation, more drive, not even hyping myself up. It's just like, oh no, this is what we're gonna do. So with this layer of my moon, my progressed moon moving into the 6th house, which has to do with health and wellness, it's gonna help me a lot there, among other things. So you can look at what part of your progress chart is this moon moving into, because that'll give you some clues as to what you'll be working on for 2.5 years. And then it just kind of helps you to understand how you're going to be operating. There's no way I'm going to have an Aries moon and not believe, now that I've experienced it, and not believe, oh, this would just be a time when people are just like calling me extra fiery. And people say that about me, but I know me. I'm actually very, very, like, I don't want no heat. Let's get along. I know who I am. I can be very passionate though, but I'm not, and I'm a fighter, but yeah, I don't start that way, right? But it's so funny. I was told by the CEO of the company that I am a trainer for. She was like, "Yeah, somebody was telling me the other day how much they loved you, and they even used the word Spitfire." And I thought that was so hilarious. I was like, "They see that moon in Aries." So when I have a moon in Aries, I can't expect to have an emotional experience of being like a Pisces. It's just not going to happen. I had to accept, because at one point I actually sort of didn't like that moon because I was like, this is too much anger. Like every time I turn around, the only emotion I got is anger. But that's just and then I got used to it. I was just like, oh, okay. Even when the moon was in Pisces, initially I was just like, maybe when the moon first goes into that new sign, that progressed moon, it takes a little bit of time to adjust to it. If it's not, well, yeah, it takes a little bit of time to adjust to it because I'm Pisces, but that was too much. And so, but after a while, I got used to it. It was just kind of like, I'm just always open, emotionally, psychically. It was just like all these downloads, it was just so easy to be spiritual during that time. So now with the moon, so when that progressed moon goes into a new sign, you get to experience a whole new emotional way of being. Isn't that exciting? Because then we don't get locked into, well, this is my moon. This is the only way I get to show up and be. No, we get opportunities to experience all the moons, baby. Maybe not too much of anything else. Some of the other planets like Mercury and Venus, maybe. But, the sun moves very slowly. The progressed ascendant is a very slow moving point. It's like you get a whole new life. Now, I will say, I'm finding that the progressed chart, which again I call it the evolutionary chart, is one that can really help you understand why you are doing what you're doing. It's sort of like, why am I doing my natal chart, but it's like I'm doing other things too. That progressed chart, that progressed chart, it is very, very meaningful. So I just wanted to talk about the progressed moon because I like to make sure that y'all see what's possible with astrology. Pisces moon ain't no joke. That it's yeah, and I know Minister Ocean Kimmy has a progressed moon in Pisces, and so yeah, it's kind of like one of the kind of moons I think you need to master the energy of it. And then also, if you know your progressed moon, you can kind of get a break from it. It's like I'm always grounded, but it's like today, how am I showing up? I have this natural knack where Taurus is I mean, I know I'm a Pisces sun sign, Scorpio, I'm very much Scorpio, but sometimes I actually feel like I'm the most when it comes to Taurus. That is who I really am. It's my comfort zone. Look, that's Taurus. But that's where I have the most planets. I have 3 planets in Taurus. So it's so, and it very much connects me to the Scorpio part of my astrology also. So yeah, it just, it's like my identity is even over there connected. Anywho, I don't want to get too detailed. So I feel so Taurus like. But when I had that Aries moon, progressed moon, baby, I was straight Aries. I was like, wow, this is amazing to be in Aries. So, but Aries even surely wants a break sometimes from being so fiery. An Aries moon, surely an Aries moon wants a break from it. And the way you get that break is to acknowledge where is that progressed moon. And then my thing is live the moon out. I didn't try to suppress my progressed Aries moon, nothing. Progressed Taurus moon, it's like, I wonder if it's going to be more of like amplified Taurus energy. You know, Taurus definitely is about personal finances, which is something I'm focused on. It is about self-care, what you eat, self-worth, self-value. And, but emotionally is very, very grounded. And so I think that that's what I'm going to be experiencing, which I can appreciate that, because it's been a little hard these last few years. It's been challenging, just even not even just thinking about what moon I had, just the things that were happening in my life, this transition I've been going through. I need this grounding. So I'm excited. So yeah, just wanted to note this here because number one, it might help someone. Number two, I often think I may not remember. So let me share while I'm thinking about it. And so yeah, what is this, 2024? So I'll have this moon for the next 2.5 years. So sometime around maybe late 2026 or something like that. Oh my gosh, my moon will go into Gemini. That'll be interesting. I ain't gonna worry about it. I have a brother who has a moon in Gemini, and he's a jokester. So I'll just be cracking jokes on y'all then. But let me just stay right here in this moment. Moon in Taurus. Hi, Cat. Yes, Catherine. How are you? Good to see you. How are you, the healing goddess? Good to see you. Scorpio. Ooh, Scorpio moon, Taurus sun, Virgo rising. So yeah, Scorpio moon is one of those moons where it's like you gotta manage that moon too. That's one of the moons you gotta really manage because Scorpio is intense, baby. Scorpio is intense. Um, but I will say to have the Taurus and the Virgo, that can help to ground some of that Scorpio energy. So that I will say I do love that about um our astrology. Sometimes we do have things that kind of balance it out. So that's really good. You're so welcome. I'm glad to share. Y'all be hearing from me soon. I'm working on the audio summit. And so once I get that audio summit, I'm getting the landing page created. You can sign up for it. I've done 3 interviews. It's the name of the summit. It's an all audio summit, and it is the magic of spirituality for modern success. And it's for women, but I was trying to keep the title from being super long. But this is an audio summit for all of my sisters out there. And I've done 3 interviews, and we've talked about spirit guides and the elements. We've talked about tarot, and we've talked about Heteru. I want to make sure I'm always elevating the deities that reflect the women of color, because we never get our deities reflected. So I was like, oh, I have this one sister who loves Heteru like I do, who's out of the Kemetic tradition, which is also Egypt. So I've done those. I have 2 more to go. I'm so excited. Well, 3 more if I count mine. So I will make sure I get that link out so that y'all can register and all of that kind of good stuff. Oh, okay. Cat Baloo says she's Aquarius. That was one of the best moons of my life. I don't know if it was just I just needed that moon at that time, but it was like I get a break from all emotion when I had that progressed Aquarius moon. I get a break from all emotion. No emotion needed. And I felt so detached. I'm telling y'all. I do sometimes my heart goes out to the air and fire sisters, because women are supposed to be so intuitive and emotional, and you all may not feel that way, you know? And so, but I can tell you, babe, Bray, ooh, yeah, it felt nice. It felt nice to me to just be so detached. Woo. But yeah, you get to feel the emotion with your progressed moon, so I'll give that to you. Yes, Aquarius. That was my favorite. Now, I'm not going to lie. I've appreciated them all. Don't get me wrong. That Aries moon is exactly what I needed. That was medicine. I, I even just sat yesterday and thought, okay, let me remember just how I have been with this Aries moon. I don't want to forget. And I anchored it onto my body so that if I need that Aries energy, I'm just going to press that button. I was like, can you remember what it felt like, Tyra? Go back and remember that Aries. Yeah, it could be really healing, and you can learn a lot from it and carry it into, the next progressed moon phase. All right, y'all have a good one. I appreciate all who were here live with me. Thank y'all so much. and connect with you soon. Peace.